I don't think Kuala Lumpur is quite the city most people expect it to be. I've been in Southeast Asia for 9 years and I've spent just over a year living here in Kuala Lumpur. And I've realised the things that define life here aren't really the things that most people talk about. Whilst I'm taking a walk here today in Kiara, I wanted to share the things that genuinely surprised me, the challenges I didn't expect and the small details that ended up making Kuala Lumpur my new home base. So before moving here, I didn't really realise how modern Kuala Lumpur was, because I have been to multiple locations within Southeast Asia. And I think there's that common conception that when you go to these big cities in the region of Southeast Asia, the common themes are motorbikes, busyness, maybe street food, and a general vibe to the place that kind of makes it an authentic feeling here within Southeast Asia. But with Kuala Lumpur, it didn't really fit that type of feeling. The MRT system really surprised me here because it was very modern, very clean, well polished, and it kind of really helps with day-to-day life. And I've done a video previously here about the public transportation with the KL Central. I've linked that in the description below if you want to check that out. And there is a really wide range of rail networks here with the city. And the highways are really impressive. They are wide and they really help you get around the city and connect to different parts and different townships within Kuala Lumpur. Just behind me here, you can see one of the freeways here behind me, which kind of links different parts going from the Damansara stretch into the city centre. So yeah, that's something that I've really come to appreciate and was quite a big surprise to me in terms of my first impressions. And the quality of the residential areas really impressed me as well. They're highly walkable if you're talking about areas such as Kiara, Dessa Park and Dessa Park City and Bangsar, as you can see behind me here. Really walkable pavements, nice and green. If I turn behind me here, walking up the hill to a really nice place that we're going to have coffee at later. And with that in mind, it does make a difference to your quality of life. And it's not something that I've seen be so common within the region of Southeast Asia. And if we're thinking about other places like Bangkok, there are certain areas that may be a bit more walkable and they do have good parks. But this is like a common theme within certain townships of Kuala Lumpur here. And by the way, this is a little bit of a different type of video style today because I want to try this out. I do a lot of content about Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Southeast Asia, and it's quite heavily edited and gives a lot of value, which is great. But I want to kind of do a slightly more authentic type of vibe of video where it's more kind of like boots on the ground, taking on these really nice walks in the morning and show you kind of like a lived-in aspect of being here in Kuala Lumpur and other parts of Southeast Asia. So yeah, just going to take a walk today, go up, I'm going to show you a spot where I get coffee sometime. And so thinking about this idea of life in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur, people often think about cost, and that is certainly one of the main factors that enable people to have a nice quality of life here, but there's much more to it than that. And next we'll talk about the idea of the housing. So with the housing, this is a really standout feature and another part that maybe people don't talk about as often enough, because you do have a lot of different options out here, different neighbourhoods to live in, and the condo facilities really stand out. It can be quite a common feature for people to have maybe more than one swimming pool. Maybe they've got 2 or 3 different swimming pools to choose from. Wide range of facilities with the gym and gardens, and a real wide range of different facilities to use. And the spaces as well. I've noticed that in Kuala Lumpur, from comparing to other regions that I spent time in, with Bangkok or Jakarta or Myanmar as well, you do get a bigger space and you do get more value for that space as well. And I found that the buildings are quite well maintained on the whole. Let's take a walk down here. This is quite a nice little street. Yeah, so on the whole, the buildings are well kept, depending on the developer, obviously. And yeah, this is like a real standout feature of living here in this magnificent city. And yeah, when I think about other aspects, is the kind of like banking system here. They have a good range of traditional banks and also an emerging scene with the fintech banks as well. And also Wise works really well here. You can get a debit card and use that for your spending, especially if you are a frequent traveller. So that's really helped. And also we can't forget the private medical system here as well. There are a wide range of private hospitals that you can use for any needs that you might have in terms of the medical field. And that is another benefit of living here in Kuala Lumpur that maybe doesn't get quite. And so, yeah, it's one of those things that maybe doesn't get spoken about, this level of convenience, because it's something that you quietly notice once you've been spending time in KL. And what I found is that I do spend a large amount of time in the same neighbourhood that I live in, and it's because of the level of convenience. You have everything accessible within a walkable distance, and you still have good connectivity to other parts of the city as well. All right, we'll just start to make our way back to the road to make our way up to the coffee point for today. Just turn behind me here, you can see one of the other standout features of KL is definitely how green it is. As you can see, it's full of nature here, even just walking around the streets. If I just turn around, you've got a lot of nature that kind of blends in with the urban development, which is another feature that maybe people don't talk about normally. And that does kind of affect how you feel in terms of the pace of the place and the peace that you have when you're going about your day-to-day life. So next, one of the things that I've noticed since being here is that the tourism aspect of KL is a standout feature as well, of course, with those magnificent twin towers. Who could forget about those? Going on the bus tours, either if it's the daytime or the nighttime, and like the nighttime bus, I can't remember what it's called. What is that called again? It's the KL hop on, hop off bus tour. Got there in the end. Yeah, and with that, it's a great way to see the city in terms of all of the different tourism aspects within the city. If you want to go to the Merdeka Square or see the new Merdeka 118 Tower and all of the other areas that you can experience throughout the city. But one thing is that, like with any place that you live, is that when you spend time here, those tourism aspects of living here don't really become part of your regular life, and you start to kind of spend more time doing your day-to-day chores and activities such as going grocery shopping, maybe going to the gym, maybe going to an art gallery, and just spending time with friends, going out to cafes, restaurants. And the conveniences are really comfortable here. And the landmarks themselves, I wouldn't really say they become irrelevant after a while, but you may visit them now and again. I certainly do. I like to go to the Petronas Twin Towers, and I've been up there a couple of times now and spent time in KLCC Park. I like to spend time every now and again in Bukit Bintang. But I think, they don't really become part of your regular lifestyle. It becomes part of a feature of the city, I would say, that you experience now and again. Whereas what I'm doing today, walking around a more residential neighbourhood, this is kind of like more your day-to-day that you'll experience here. All right, it's just going to head up now and starting to make our way up to a much more greener part of the Mont Kiara district. We're heading up to Bukit Kiara, which is a local trail. I've done a couple of hikes there in the past, and if I just pan the camera around, you can see it starts to get really beautiful up here. I mean, look at these palm trees, right? So yeah, going to head up now. It's a little bit of an incline walk. I like to kind of get a bit of physical activity in the mornings. And once we get there, I really want to show you this awesome coffee place that I go to. All right then, so as I promised, we're at the coffee spot that I like to come to sometimes. This is a bit of a hidden spot, but I really like coming here, especially in the mornings. It's called Wow Coffee. And if you look behind me here, this is the lead up to Bukit Kiara. So yeah, the guys are just making coffees here for the customers, and it's a really great spot. You can see here there's some deck chairs lined up for people to take a sit at, and also just to the other side there, there's another place where you can kind of look out and enjoy the view. So yeah, just pan the camera around. The setup looks like this. So you can see it's a really good setup they got here. Excellent coffee machine, and you've got a variety of options as well. If I can see the menu here, so I just pan to the options here. You've got the Wow signature options: coffee, non-coffee, sparkling drinks, and tea, and fruit drinks and tea. So yeah, a lot of good options. Yeah, how's it going? Okay.
Yeah, good.
Can I get let's have a look. Which one should I go for? Maybe, I'll do the cocoa coffee. Cocoa coffee, yeah. Ice, yeah. Makasih. Yeah, so as you can see, just film the process a little bit. This coffee shop's been here for how long now? Like
Around 4 years.
4 years, right? Yeah. It gets quite busy here, right? In the mornings, weekends especially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what you'll see if you do come here is there's a lot of hikers that come by. It's quite an active spot here, and especially at weekends, I'd recommend getting here early because it is highly popular at the weekends. Like I said, it's the weekday now. It's Friday, so it's not too busy at the moment. There you go. You can see the setup. It's like a little mum and pop store, right? And yeah, I've got friends who come here as well regularly. So yeah, come and check it out if you're in the area of Mont Kiara and you want to go for a little trek as well up to Bukit Kiara. All right then, so just going to enjoy the coffee now. As you can see, just take a nice seat here, and it's a really nice spot that I've got. So I've got a coconut coffee. It's cost 14 ringgit, not too bad. It's just a treat that I have every now and again. Kind of like thinking about the hardest things that people go through when they move to a new country, and there's always going to be like challenges here or there when you move to new countries, and Malaysia's kind of no different, I would say. And there's that idea about building friendships, and this takes time and patience and a certain level of proactiveness as well. And what I found has worked well for me in the past is like joining groups of activities that I'm interested in, and also there's a organisation called Internations, which is a really good way to meet like-minded people as well through different types of events, and I've actually joined that recently because I want to kind of expand on the people I know here in my social circles. Yeah, it's always a bit of a challenge because you have your friendship group and your social circle that you had in the place that you would have lived in previously, and it takes time and patience, and I would say maybe even a certain level of creativity as well to find ways to meet new people. And yeah, just kind of bumped into a friend of mine. So this is Reza. So just say hello to the channel. And yeah, he's a friend of mine. Reza, how have you found living in Malaysia?
It's good though.
Good?
I mean, like work and life is a balance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nature and quite relaxing here, not like any other big cities. I don't know, maybe the area we're living because, well, we are actually not really neighbor, but we are living not that far away, so the area we're living is quite nice. So I don't know, like in other part of the city itself. So yeah, I mean, like so far I have good experiences. So we'll be in the future hopefully still.
Yeah, definitely. I think with Malaysia, like I said, there's always going to be some challenges here or there, like the climate as well. There's things to factor into account. And there's a kind of like steady rainfall that happens in the afternoons, and it's kind of generally through most of the year. And there is a certain level of humidity as well. But I think, you know, it just takes time to get acclimatized to that and to get used to it. And like Reza said, there may be some variances as well in Kuala Lumpur with the neighbourhoods, with Mont Kiara, Desa Park City, Bangsar, and even Ampang and some other areas further out, such as Bukit Jalil and Cyberjaya. So there's a lot of different variances with the different neighbourhoods. But, you know, with that as well, you can have different experiences of living in Kuala Lumpur. And also the walkability can vary. I found that generally if you are within most neighbourhoods in KL, the walkability is good. But then if you're going between different parts and different townships of the city, there can be some quite you know, the walkability, you're kind of reliant more on a car, or like a motorbike maybe, so you will need to factor that in as well. With admin as well, there can sometimes, with any country, be maybe sometimes banking issues, maybe sometimes visa issues, maybe sometimes bureaucracy issues, but you know, every country has these different challenges, and for me, my own personal experience so far, I haven't really experienced too much friction with those type of things, but obviously everybody's situation is different and circumstances are different. So with that, I would say that the main thing to do there is to plan and to maybe speak to professionals and try and organise those aspects of your life as best you can, because then you mitigate the likelihood of something going wrong in that respect. So yeah, obviously, you know, these are just some different challenges with the, you know, developing friendships and the climate and all of these type of things that we just spoke about, and the walkability, and also maybe some sort of bureaucracy or paperwork issues. But you know, as long as you kind of work on these and have a certain level of proactiveness, then it can make a big difference in your life. All right, so I'm going to enjoy the rest of this coffee up here and chill out and relax, and then I want to take you to another part of the neighbourhood. We'll just keep walking through Mont Kiara to show you different parts and to experience what it's like to live here. But if I pan the camera around, as you can see, we've got a really nice view here of how it looks to spend time at this coffee place. So, yeah. Anyway, it's nice to kind of bump into Reza here, and yeah, we're just going to enjoy our coffee and take in the views. All right, so that was a great catch up with my friend Reza. It's actually a coincidental meeting, so it was good to catch up with him and have a bit of a chat over coffee, and highly recommend you check that place out when you can, if you are in Mont Kiara. And just making my way down now through the main Jalan Desa Kiara road. As you can see behind me, here is where we leave that main stretch leading up to Bukit Kiara. And if I pan the camera around, this road here behind me is what connects all of the different roads, the main roads of Mont Kiara. So you've got Jalan Kiara 5, 4, 2 and 1. And those are the roads that connect to this main intersection here. And if you just go down over this way, that leads to Seri Harsamas. So yeah, just to give some context about the neighbourhood here, and making my way down now to kind of like the central area of the Mont Kiara neighbourhood, and starting to get to lunchtime. So starting to get a bit peckish. And with that in mind, this idea about convenience and the kind of like invisibility of the convenience starts to come into my mind here, because it's, well, within certain districts, I mean, obviously there's going to be differences between the different townships, but one thing to take into account here is with the level of convenience and how easy it is to kind of tap into these conveniences in an affordable way. And that kind of makes the idea of having a convenient lifestyle very easy to attain with your regular life. And the funny thing is, after a while, you kind of start to stop noticing it, because it becomes so easy to order delivery, like food delivery, for example, online with Grab, or to pop down to your local grocers just down the road, or even in the same residence where you live. And the scheduling of the transportation with the buses, MRT, LRT, and these type of conveniences run really well. So it's something that becomes maybe almost a part of your lifestyle that you don't notice after a while. And this is something that really people don't speak about, because it is a really convenient factor of living here in Kuala Lumpur. And so with that in mind, my friends, think about the type of things that you maybe take for granted at the moment with the place that you live, whether that's Malaysia or somewhere else, because those are the things that really matter the most when you're living somewhere in the long term. And now what we'll do is we'll make our way down to the main kind of area of Mont Kiara. I'm just about to cross Jalan Kiara 3 behind me here. So yeah, going to pop over and show you the main kind of like the main part of the neighbourhood. Here we are in the heart of Mont Kiara, and this is the main Mont Kiara road behind me here. So behind we have Mont Kiara 1, Plaza Mont Kiara down that way, and then behind me here is Sunway 163. So this is kind of like the main point of the whole neighbourhood of Mont Kiara. And yeah, I'll link a video below that I did of Mont Kiara neighbourhood in the past, if you want to have a bit more of a detailed oversight of this area. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good place and kind of a good point to speak about here with the kind of like long-term livability of Kuala Lumpur, because it's one of those places where, because I've spent a long time in the region, right? I've spent 9 years in Southeast Asia, 5 years in Thailand, 2 years in Myanmar, 1 year in Indonesia, and now this is just over 1 year in Malaysia. And yeah, it's not really one thing that really stands out to me in terms of living in Malaysia, but it's more about kind of the overall balance that the place gives you. It's not particularly about just the food or the cost of living, or one of these kind of standout features. It's kind of like the whole compound effect of what the place offers in that respect. So yeah, just cross the road here for a second. Bit of a busy one. So yeah, just lost my train of thought for a second there. Oh yeah, because I think, you know, Southeast Asia in general is a great place to live and to have a base in, but it depends kind of where you base yourself and how you base it, or like where you base yourself in those particular places. For example, I lived in Bangkok city centre for all of those years, those 5 years that I lived there. And I would say that if I was to do it again, I would move somewhere a bit more suburban, because Bangkok is a great place to live still and it's very vibrant. But I think what I appreciate after moving to Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur is the balance it offers, like I said. So yeah, it's just something to think about in terms of an aspect of spending time here in KL. So yeah, I guess the point I'm coming to is like no place is perfect and no city is perfect. But for me, with Kuala Lumpur, it really does offer that great blend of balance with the convenience, the shopping malls, the cost of living, the accommodation options, the friendliness of the locals, the food culture, and lots of different other aspects, and also the convenience of the location, because it is centrally located within the region of Southeast Asia. And also it's kind of like the range of options that are available for travel from here, whether you are traveling domestically in Malaysia, or if you want to go further afield to those other countries in the region. So yeah, it's got a perfect blend, I would say, of all of those aspects of building a long-term life here. I hope you enjoyed this little walk and talk with me today. It's definitely a different type of video that I'm doing, but I've quite enjoyed it. It feels quite conversational, and I hope you got some value out of it too. And it kind of does really help to give this kind of boots on the ground take, so to speak, of spending time here in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. My plan is to try and, well, I don't want to overpromise here and under-deliver, but yeah, I'll try and do these once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And it'll be a good way for us to explore different parts of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, or Southeast Asia, wherever I am at the time. I'll try and check in and speak about different aspects of living here in this region. So yeah, and if you are still considering Kuala Lumpur as a place to live and you're still doing your research and thinking about it as a serious location for you to live long term, then I'll link in the description below the Mr. Henner's KL Starter Pack 2026. It's packed with lots of useful tips and hints and helpful information for you as a kind of starting point to help you with deciding whether KL is a good place for you to set up a long-term base. So yeah, so Mr. Henner's signing out here, and I will see you in the next one.